You know, Portland's chaos, Chicago's chaos. It's a freaking melee out here, guys. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat what you think. If you got anything going on in your neighborhood, is the sound working now? I don't know if the sound's working. All right, cool. Yeah, so I don't know what you guys got going on in your neighborhood. I'm in New York. A couple of pop-up protests hitting the streets. You know, they try to take over the Brooklyn Bridge. They're chaining themselves, handcuffing themselves. Everybody wants to protest against ICE. Portland, chaos. Like I said, I was watching JD Delay. He's a YouTuber, a streamer. He's out in Portland. He hit the streets. And he straight up told them, you know, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm just here for the people, doing my thing. And it was crazy. The sunshine, yeah. I'm in Long Island, but I'm usually in Brooklyn all the time. So, and in Brooklyn, they were trying to take over the Brooklyn Bridge. They were chaining themselves to the Brooklyn Bridge. You know, listen, I'm all about, you know, your peaceful right to protest, right? You know, you want to protest, you want to, you know, speak your, you know, your truth, your opinion. I'm all about it. But these guys are not, you know, speaking their opinion out in Portland. They're trying to like riot. They're trying to overtake ICE facilities. They're lighting, you know, American flags in the streets. It's chaos, man. And Chicago, I was watching something today. They had snipers on the roofs of these ICE facilities in in Chicago. So I don't know. You said I'm almost 5 hours from New York City. Yeah, I mean, the good thing that you're 5 hours from New York City, because New York City's a shit show. Like New York City is so disgusting. You know, I have young kids, and you know, I work in the city, and I would never bring my kids to New York City. I would never bring my kids to New York City to go see the tree, the Thanksgiving Day parade. I would never do it. It's a shit show. It's disgusting. You know, I remember one time I was walking the streets of Manhattan, and I was coming down. I think it was Broadway, and some lady came up the stairs from the subway station. She was wearing a dress. She hiked up her dress and she just defecated all over the street. And I looked at her like, you're a slob. There's little kids around here, and this is what you do, you know? So it's definitely a shit show in New York City. I don't know what everybody else is doing. Portland looks like a shit show. It looks like a lot of all these major cities is a shit show right now. Like I said, I was watching this podcast, you know, JD Delay, he went out and he was like, he lives in Oregon. He was showing like what it's like over there in Oregon. And he was like, look at this melee. It's disgusting. In Portland, you know, they're fighting in the streets. Anybody that's walking by that doesn't support their cause, they're starting fights with. I was watching that video. Some guy was walking around with a Charlie Kirk shirt in Portland, and then it turned into a fight, but then the guy got knocked out. You know, you got federal agents in the streets, you got cops, everyone's like, I think we're going to go back to like the George Floyd days. During George Floyd, I don't know how it was wherever you guys are from, whatever city you in, but during George Floyd in New York City, it was like a scene from the movies. People were lighting fires, cars were getting, you know, lit on fire, windows were being broken everywhere. They were protesting through the night. I remember one time they said there's approximately 24,000 people storming the Brooklyn Bridge. And it was crazy, man. And like I remember it was like a scene one night. There was all the cops lined up on one side of the street, and it was all the, you know, the protesters lined up on the other side of the street, and they had bullhorns and they were screaming and sirens, and the cops were lined up, and one of the, you know, supervisors for the police department was like charge, and it was like Avengers assemble, and they just clashed, and it was like a clash of the Titans in the middle of the street. It's disgusting. D Sunshine says rioting and protesting are two different things, yet they act. It's one thing, I understand. Let me tell you something. You just said it was what you just said was what I said verbatim. I had this discussion with my father before. I'm like, you know, you want to protest and you want to go on the streets and you want to peacefully protest and, you know, protest for whatever your beliefs are. You don't believe that, you know, I should be detaining people and legal immigrants and all this stuff like that. That's one thing. But as soon as you start rioting and lighting the streets on fire and attacking federal agents and disrupting people's lives, now you're wrong. You're in the wrong. And like, you know, People are going to hate on the cops. People are going to hate on the federal agents because, oh, they're being too aggressive. I was watching Fox News earlier, and one of the liberal people on the Five was like, oh, look at these ICE agents. They're disgusting. They're spraying pepper spray in these poor people's faces, and they're not doing anything wrong. And it was like, what? They're not doing anything wrong. They're lighting fires. They're hitting people. They're attacking people. And you're going to talk about that they're not doing anything? And you're right, 100% right. You're protesting or you're rioting. Which one is it? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to riot, then you deserve everything that's coming to you. And I don't blame the police and these federal agents. And let me tell you, Trump is not a man to be fucked with. Like, that's one thing that I can say. A lot of people hate him, you know, hate him or love him. He does not mess around. At the end of the day, you're gonna fuck around and you're gonna find out. Once he starts deploying the National Guard and all these people in the streets, people are gonna be fucking pissed and they're gonna be like, what the hell? Will Rainey. I'm just talking about the chaos that's going on in Portland right now and in Chicago. I was watching something I said, and Portland's like a disaster. Every night they're like riding in the streets, and the Democrats are trying to say, "Oh, it's peaceful, it's dispersing," but like every night it's a different thing. It's like fights in the streets, fires. They're trying to storm the ICE facility. They're attacking people that don't align with their beliefs. And in Chicago, they had snipers on the roofs. Like legit, I was looking. ICE had snipers on the roof because they're so worried about that shit that happened in Dallas that people are gonna, attack this ICE facility and take them out. That they have snipers on the roofs, and you can't blame them. These guys are human beings. They're family people. They have kids. They have wives. They're going home to their families at the end of the day. And martial law has already begun a few years ago. Yeah, they're making it worse for us humble people. Listen, it's crazy out here. It's crazy out here. Like, I don't know. I feel bad for our kids because at the end of the day, our kids got to deal with this shit. You know, like the world is changing so quickly, and it's for the worst. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Like, I'm 38 years old. When I was growing up, I don't remember, random protests in the streets. Like, I remember Rodney King happened, and like there was LA riots and stuff like that. I remember little stuff like that. But like there wasn't riots in the streets like this. People weren't rioting and protesting over every little thing, you know? And like whether you agree with ICE or not, you know, illegals coming into our country, it's a different world. The sunshine, I'm 39 and I remember privacy was a huge deal. There's no privacy about anything. No, man, you gotta watch what you say too. Like you got to watch what you say. I could be on here right now talking about this, and all of a sudden they're going to censor me because it doesn't align with what they're speaking. Like we want to talk about freedom of speech. Charlie Kirk, freedom of speech. He's telling how he feels on things, his perspective, his opinion, and he gets taken out. Like you really can't even speak your mind anymore. There's no privacy. Our phones listen to everything. Straight up, like I'll be talking about something with one of my friends or whatever, and I'll be like, "Oh, I really want to, get one of these things," and all of a sudden I get 300 fucking ads about this thing. There is no privacy. Everyone's listening, and you want to talk about privacy. I watched a podcast with Snowden, the guy that blew the whistle on the NSA for, spying on American citizens. I watched that podcast, and I think it was the Joe Rogan Experience. And he was talking about how like the NSA was like doing some crazy shit and there was no privacy. The NSA was spying on us. And I think our phones spy on us every single day. Tell me like straight up, have you ever been sitting there talking to your friend or your family member or somebody about something that you were interested in or something you wanted to buy or something you wanted to do or a place you wanted to go, and all of a sudden you got 3,000 ads popping up on your phone, on your YouTube, on your Instagram, talking about the thing that you wanted to do or the thing you wanted to buy? Like your phone's listening to you. It's crazy. This world, man. You can't even take a piss without somebody watching you. There's so many cameras everywhere, and everybody has cameras. Neighbors got Ring cameras. Your car's got cameras. There's cameras on the phone. Every time a little thing happens, someone takes out their phone and starts recording. Like it's so crazy. The littlest thing will happen, and you have 500 phones come out, and everybody wants to start recording. Like, give me a fucking break, dude. Like, mind your fucking business. And it's crazy. D Sunshine, he died for his own opinion, which scares me to my core to socialize these people. Let me tell you, it's scary out there. And New York City, we got the mayoral election is coming up, right? And Eric Adams dropped out of the race. You got Curtis Lewa, who's a Republican, who has no chance in New York City. I'm sorry, Curtis Lewa is a good man. He started the Guardian Angels back in the day, where he wanted to help the police and he wanted to keep the city safe and he wanted to do good things for New York City. And he's running as a Republican candidate, but he has no chance in New York City. New York City is too liberal for Curtis Lewa to ever have a chance. And Eric Adams dropped out of the race. Cuomo, I don't know. It's going to be hard for Cuomo. He was the governor of New York State, and then people don't forget. People don't forget when it comes to sexual harassment and stuff like that. Especially the female voters, they're going to be looking at him like, dude, you're a pervert. So it looks like we're going to get this socialist Zofran Mandani or whatever. I don't even know his real name, but that's scary. That's scary. I was just listening to something. Socialism, everyone's cheering on. Everyone wants socialism. Oh yeah, we need free healthcare. We need this. We need that. But people don't understand. If you own 2 cows, the government is gonna say, well, you got to give one of your cows to this guy who has 0 cows. That's crazy. Let's see. You Sunshine. The people need to humble themselves. The world has gone ignorant as hell. Listen, I blame it on. I blame it on our teachers, our politicians. Our politicians are not leading us in the right direction. They're poisoning the people. The teachers are so left and liberal at this point that they're poisoning the youth of America. These kids are learning, they're indoctrinating them so early on. It only gets worse. They don't get their shit together and wake up and see what's really going on in the world. And I agree, because I don't know what people are gonna do. This world is gonna turn to shit. This world's gonna turn to shit. Everywhere you look, there's a protest or riot or something crazy is going on somewhere in the world. It's never you never see happy or good things happening in the news. It's always fucking chaos or something insane is happening in the world. I remember we need to bring back the times of the Italian mob. When we had the Italian mob running shit in New York City back in the day, and we had the 5 families running the show in New York City, there was no chaos in New York City. New York City ran smooth. Nobody fucked around. The mob ran the show. Nobody fucked around. I'm sure there was corruption at every kind of level, but when the Italian mob ran, the city, nobody fucked around. Now the liberals run the New York City. That's why people got to be careful who you vote for, because if this guy wins the mayor election in New York City's in for big trouble. They say, take away the police and 911, who are you going to call? Seriously. Yeah, this guy wants it. Social workers. He wants to make it, the police are not going to respond to this. He wants to decriminalize a lot of laws in New York City. He wants to make assault decriminalized, theft, a petty larceny is going to be decriminalized. He wants to decriminalize a lot of stuff. And I don't know who he thinks he is, where he could just change state laws, but he wants to decriminalize this whole bunch of stuff. And it's going to be lawlessness and it's going to be chaos in New York City. And you know what? Was it Certified Dill? One, social media is tearing this country apart. Social media destroys everything. Social media is destroying the country. It's poisoning the youth. It destroys relationships. It destroys marriages. It destroys people's, perception and reality. Social media destroys everything because people play these reels and they watch these shorts and they watch all this stuff and they think that this is real life. This is not real life. This is la la land. Real life is what's out here. And then the people want to bring La La Land to real life. It's crazy. Like, I don't know what people think at this point. Why can't we just be in peace? All right, listen, Will, I agree. Like, honestly, I remember when there was a time that this whole political, like, division wasn't even something that wasn't even a big deal. Like, if you were a Democrat and you were a Republican, like, no one cared about your political views because no one ever talked about that. We talked about baseball. We talked about, oh, the Yankees won the World Series, or, the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Like, we talked about life shit. Oh, did you see that Mike Tyson fight? Did you see that Floyd Mayweather fight? Did you see the UFC fight? That's what we talked about. We talked about, regular things, sports, entertainment. Now we talk about politics. That's all that's on people's minds right now. Everything we talk about is politics. Everything has to do with politics. And you got to worry about politics affecting your daily life. Because let's face it, now that we're adults, politics affects our daily life, right? They make a new law. They make, new tax laws and all this stuff. This affects us as adults now. Property tax increases, school budgets getting increased. That changes your property tax. This changes this and that. It's like, that's when it starts affecting you as an adult, when it hits your pocket. When you say, Will says the shit, the purge is happening. Yeah, the purge is going to happen. Listen, I believe that everything that, like, we see, or, like, myths or legends, or, stuff like that, all has its place in the world. Like dragons and vampires and the purge, and like, what is that, 28 days when, like, there's like a zombie apocalypse and stuff like that. Like, shit like that will probably happen. Shit like that will probably happen. All of a sudden, you get people going to turn into fucking zombies, and they're already turning into zombies because everyone's like, no one has a brain anymore. Everyone, just believes everything that they hear. And you can't even believe everything that you see. This AI shit is so real. It's so crazy that you see this AI stuff and all these videos that come up on your feed and stuff. You're like, wow, that looks like a real person. That looks real. Like, you don't even know what's real and what's fake anymore. So I'm just watching, and like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, and like, I don't get my news from the TV. Like, I'm not watching any liberal media. I don't even trust, like, Fox or anything like that, because, everybody's like a big corporation. But I like going, like, these streams, and I see people streaming live at these protests. And I'm like, wow, look at this. It's chaos, burning the American flag. You know, people are, lighting cars on fire. What was this? In England the other day, the guy, rammed the car into the synagogue and then had explosives, and they had to kill him, and then they had to do raids. Like, what the fuck is this world coming to, man? What is this world coming to? What are we doing? And like, how do we take it back? How do we take this country back and this world back? Because you guys got to be scared for your kids, man. If you guys are parents, you got to be scared for your kids. You got to say that my kids are, if we're dealing with this fucking crazy shit now, and look how much it's changed since the time we were younger till now, what is it going to be like when your kids get older? What is it going to be like when your kids get older? It's going to be a fucking disaster. And it's scary, man. It's scary. I was talking about it the other day. Like, I was watching Andrew Bustamante on one of his interviews, and he was straight up saying, like, American superiority. Like, we used to be the most superior country in the world. We were the richest and the strongest country in the world, and now we're so weak. We're so weak. Our enemies look at us like a joke, right? Russia, Iran, North Korea, China. They look at us, they're like, these American people fight themselves. What do we need to fight them for? What do we need to do? We don't even got to do anything. They're fighting themselves. They're dividing themselves. They're starting to shoot themselves. These guys are just going to implode. Let's say, what I would give to feel safe again? Like, say, I don't know. Let me tell you, can you go to bed at night and leave your front door unlocked right now? Let me ask you a serious question. You're at home. You're getting ready for bed. It's late at night. You're going to go in your bed and you're going to go to sleep. Can you leave your door unlocked right now? No matter what neighborhood you're in, could you leave your door unlocked? Absolutely not. You'd be scared that someone's going to break in, someone's gonna. It's not like the old days. People used to leave their doors unlocked, right? They could go to sleep and leave the door unlocked and feel safe and go to sleep through the night with no worries. Like you can't even leave your car unlocked in the front of your house. You leave your car unlocked, you got some crackhead rummaging through your car, trying to steal your change. You want to leave your front door unlocked where your kids and your family is and try to feel safe going to sleep at night? You can't do that. And this is the world we live in. It's scary, man. It's scary. Like, I know for me, I wouldn't go to bed leaving my door unlocked. No way. And I live in a good neighborhood, but you never know. People are fucking sick. People are crazy. Like I have a friend who lives in a good neighborhood. One night comes out in the car the next morning and the car is ransacked. Some freaking crackhead went through the car, tried to steal all the quarters and the change in the car. Like, it's not like Pleasantville where everyone mows their lawn at the same time and everyone's waving, hey neighbor. People don't even talk to their neighbors anymore. We were younger, we would go outside and we would play all night. Play manhunt. I played wiffle ball, handball, stickball, football. We would play all night as kids, ride our bikes, skateboard, and just have a good time. Run to the neighbor's house, knock on the door, and say, hey, can Jimmy come out and play? Kids don't do that anymore. Kids don't do that anymore. Kids don't. Thank you, The Sunshine, for subscribing. Have a good night. Kids don't go knocking on doors anymore and hang out with their friends because parents are scared to leave their kids outside. Our parents, we used to be outside and my parents would be like, all right, well, as soon as those street lights come on, you come back in. Parents are not letting their kids go outside by themselves. Parents are going to sit there and they're going to watch and be around their kids because you can't trust the world that you live in. It's too crazy, you know? So that's why I ask, do you feel safe at night leaving your front door unlocked? And a lot of you said no. Could you leave your kids to play in the streets at night until the street light came on without having to watch them and keep your eyes on them? No, you can't because people are fucking nuts and this world is crazy. I watched a video the other day, right up the block, a couple blocks away. Some maniac just like hopped out of his car and started going like berserk in the middle of the street, and everyone's videotaping him. Everyone's just videotaping him. Look at this fucking asshole flipping out in the middle of the street. That's crazy. This is the world that we live in, guys. And like I said, if you're about peaceful protests and you want to protest, like do what you got to do, it's great. But once you start rioting and destroying your own neighborhood, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. These people, like I remember during George Floyd, you had people coming in, they were looting the stores, they were lighting cars on fire, breaking windows, destroying the neighborhood, graffitiing their own neighborhoods. Like you're destroying your own neighborhood. Like, what are you thinking? This is the world we live in, though, guys. Like, I don't even know. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated for speaking his mind. Like, everybody wants to hate on Trump. Everybody wants to, fall for the bullshit that all these politicians preach on us. Like, it's all a joke, man. Like, we got to take this country back. We need good parenting, discipline your kids. What he says, Wolverine says, like, call 911 and get him help, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, this guy, he's flipping out in the middle of the street, going berserk. Everyone's just videotaping instead of calling 911 and saying, hey, there's some guy, he's losing his shit in the middle of the street. I think he needs medical attention or, psychiatric help. Everyone's just videotaping. Hey, look at this fucking guy. Oh, everyone just takes their cameras out. That's it. Everyone just takes their cameras out. Everyone wants a show, Everyone wants to post it on Instagram and TikTok, and everyone wants a show, but no one wants to do anything to make this world better. And I don't know, guys. Like, I know I'm going on a rant here, but I'm just like looking at the world in front of us and I'm saying, what the fuck is going on right now? What the fuck is going on right now? Keep your kids off social media. It slowly poisons their mind. Absolutely. Social media, I feel like, destroys everything. Like I said, social media destroys relationships, marriages. It destroys your kids. It gives people a false, perception of, what's real out there. Social media is like such a poison to every aspect of life. You can't believe everything you see on social media. A lot of people use it as like their news outlet. Social media definitely destroys relationships because a lot of cheating happens through social media. And like my daughter, I have an older daughter, 11 years old. She's not on social media. Like me and her mom have discussed it. Like she's not on social media. We try to limit what she watches on YouTube, and I try to limit what my kids are on as far as like, you know, device wise, like their phones and the tablets and stuff. We try to limit it because we don't want it to be that they're always on a screen. I try to do things with them, take them to the park, have fun with them, ride bikes, teach them new skills. But like, and me and her mom try to like, you know, keep her away from the social media and stuff like, but they're getting it in school, man. Like, like she was like singing some kind of like, trend that was going on TikTok and like Snapchat one night. And I'm like, oh, how do you know about that? And she's like, oh, my friends in school show me. My friends in school show me this on Snapchat and stuff like that. Like, so there's only so much protection that you can do when it comes to your kids by keeping them off social media because everybody else is doing it. So they're gonna get it from their friends at school and the kids at school, and they're gonna see it. Like you could see something on social media and just believe some nonsense. Yo, Will, I'm telling you, people get their news from social media. Like people will be watching Instagram and being like, "Oh, do you see what happened in the world?" And it's like a 10-second clip, and they'll say, "Oh, you see this breaking news?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, that's not even the full story. That's nonsense. But people believe everything they see. Literally, I could post something on social media right now, and it'd be like AI generated that, like, the world exploded and that we're all fucking dead, or a meteor just collided in fucking Texas that took out all of Texas, and like people be like, "Oh my God, did you hear it? Texas got destroyed by a meteor." Like people would take that as gospel. Right? Certified Dill says you can't control their friends' phones is the problem. They get their news from Greta Thunberg, right? I know. Was it fucking eco terrorists? That's what it is. Climate change bullshit. But like you're right. You can't control their friends' phones. So you could try to limit your kids, but they're gonna get it from their friends. Their friends are on TikTok, Instagram, all these platforms. And your kids are going to get poisoned by these other kids. That's what you got to kind of just do your best to limit it. You're never going to stop it completely. Social media has overtaken the world. It's overtaken everything, so you can't stop it. You can only just limit it. And but you got like retards giving you the news, and I don't want to offend anybody by saying retard. I apologize if I'm offending anybody, but like you got idiots giving you the news, right? Like you got streamers and Instagram clips and TikTok clips, and these are your news outlets. And I get it. You can't trust corporate media. I'm not getting my news from CNN. I'm not getting my news from NBC or ABC or CBS. You know, if anything, the only one I'm watching is like Newsmax. They're like the only one that hasn't been you know, tainted by the corporate world and and politics. Get the news from Greta Thunberg, yeah. So like I was saying, like what can we do to get this world back on track, right? Like I talked about it on another live the other day. And it's so funny. Like a couple of days ago, I was talking about like American superiority in our military. And I was like, our military is so weak. Like nobody wants to join the military anymore. They're having a really hard time getting people in. There was we had men in dresses. We had, the standards were shit. And then like the next day, the Secretary of Defense comes in and he's like, we're changing the military standards. No more Pride Month, no Identity Month, no more of this bullshit. We're going back to American superiority. Men are going to be men. There's going to be standards, and the standards are the standards. There's not going to be, you know, one standard for you and one standard for you. All the standards are going to be the same. And I 100% agree to that. And that's why I gave Pete Hegseth my award of the Alpha Male of the Week. SecDef is the alpha male of the week because we got to bring back American superiority. And I'm not trying to go on like a political tirade right here, but like America is turning to shit, man. Like we got people fighting in the streets and like protesting, waving other countries' flags. What? We got people in the streets of the United States of America waving other countries' flags. The Mexican flag, the Ukrainian flag, the Palestinian flag. Bro, I saw a protest in Brooklyn. These guys were waving the flag of Hamas. In New York City, waving the Hamas, like, terrorist group flag, whatever you want to call it. Like, was it at this point? I might move to Canada towards actually peaceful. Listen, Canada can't stand their politicians either. I remember when they were doing that like trucker rally, and they were going against their prime minister because he was like another liberal idiot too that was destroying Canada. And then like Trump's like, "Yo, we're gonna about to make Canada the 51st state." People were getting fucking pissed. Can you imagine that? That Trump made Canada the 51st state? That'd be chaos, man. That's why I laugh. Like people hate Trump, but he's a character, man. Like I watch him and I get a fucking kick out of this guy because he does some crazy shit. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna take over Greenland. We're gonna rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, and we're gonna make Canada the 51st state." That's great. Like, but that's how it is. We need strong leaders like that. Like I said, I watched this guy. You guys should check him out if you don't. His name is Andrew Bustamante. He's like a former CIA case officer. He's like the guy with the long curly hair that wears the headband, looks like a Spanish guy. And he's like, and he like speaks his truth, like he doesn't give any like classified information up or like talk about like CIA stuff, but he has like a really good perspective on things. And like he was saying that by 2030, the US will no longer be the number one superpower in the world unless we step our game up, and that like other countries are beating us out in technology, they're beating us out with, in economically, and like we really need to get our shit together. And and he talks about like how Trump, people hate on him, but Trump is the closest person to how our country's president is supposed to be. So he said that the way that the forefathers came up with it and the way that this country was supposed to be, like the presidency and like senators and representatives was created was you were supposed to be like a successful businessman or like a successful lawyer or doctor, whatever you were, like blacksmith, you were successful in your field. You came into government, you did your term, and then you went back to being successful again. Like there was no such thing as career politicians. And that's the problem. Like, what do you say? Like, I don't like Trump that much. All right, listen, bro, you don't have to like Trump. A lot of people think he's fucking crazy, he's stupid, he's retarded. Listen, I think he's funny. He's not a well-spoken person. Like, he really doesn't have good like delivery when he like says what he has to say. But he's not a politician. And that's what you gotta remember. Like, Trump is not a politician. So he's not like, and that's what, and that goes back to my point. Like this guy, Andrew Bustamante, says like Trump is the closest person to how our country is supposed to be ran because, there's not supposed to be things like lifelong politicians. Like no one should be the senator for 20 fucking years. Like Chuck Schumer, get the fuck out of here, bro. Go retire, you old bastard. Get the fuck out of here. Like Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer has been the senator or wherever the fuck he is for as long as I can remember. From as long as I can remember, Chuck Schumer has been, a senator. Nancy Pelosi looks like a fucking 80-year-old, like fucking zombie. Like, I don't even know what she looks like. She's like disheveled, disgusting, decrepit, like 90-year-old woman. Go fucking retire. Like, we're not supposed to have these lifelong politicians. Our government was created that you were a successful lawyer, you're a successful doctor, or a successful businessman, and you come in to politics, do your term for 4 years, 2 to 4 years, whatever it was, You get, you do whatever changes that you can do, or in like the president's like terms, 8 years, and then you go back to being a businessman and being successful and doing what you got to do. And then the next person comes in, does it for 4 years or 8 years, and then they go back to what they're doing. Like, there's no such thing as lifelong politicians. That was never supposed to be a thing when it came to our Constitution. You weren't going to be a senator for 20 years, then become a president, and then go back to being a senator. Or like look at Andrew Cuomo, right? So Andrew Cuomo was a governor of New York State, right? Then he had this whole sexual harassment scandal. They made him walk away from it, and now he's trying to be the mayor. Like, bro, go retire somewhere. You probably made millions and millions of dollars when you were the governor from like kickbacks and like corruption and shit. Go to Boca Raton and retire, bro. Like, what are you doing? These lifelong politicians. That's why term limits are so important, because then you got like old people. We have old men making decisions that haven't been in our shoes in the longest time. They don't know what it is to work hard. They don't know what it is to struggle to put gas in your car, groceries in your refrigerator. They don't understand what it's like to struggle to support a family. These guys are lifelong politicians making millions of dollars. Tell me how like Nancy Pelosi's yearly salary is $164,000, but this woman is worth like 500 million. Yeah, man. Well, Ramy, have a good one, man. Thank you for watching. But like, that's how it is, man. Like, these politicians are so out of touch. And it's like in any job you have too, when you have supervisors that, are at the top, haven't been at the lower level for such a long time, and then they're telling you how you should be doing your job, or like changing protocols and procedures and policies, and they haven't been, on the floor or in the street in such a long time, and they're telling you how things need to be done. So like, you really gotta, think about it like that. Like, these politicians are so out of touch, and they're making all the rules right now. And we let them make all the rules. And it's crazy how we elect people to speak for us. Like, think about that, right? We elect people to represent us, right? We are the constituency. We elect them to represent us. They go make, policy for us and all these rules. They end up fucking us over anyway, right? Your property taxes go up. You know, you get more money taken out of your paycheck. Like, how is it that the government takes 50% of your hard-earned money? How is it when you buy a house and you have a mortgage for 30 years and you pay off that house, you still got to pay property tax to live in that house? Like, how is that, man? And that's why I give it up to, Florida. DeSantis is like getting rid of he's trying to get rid of property tax, which I think is a great thing, because like, I agree. Why should you pay a mortgage and live paycheck to paycheck for 30 years trying to support your family and pay for your home, and then after you actually own your home, you got to still pay the government money to live in that home? You got to pay property tax. I don't agree with that. So I think, shout out to DeSantis for trying to do that. Florida's trying to get rid of vaccine mandates. you know I'm 100% down with that too. Don't let people force you to stick your kids with vaccines. If you don't want to vaccinate your kids, then don't vaccinate your kids. If you do, then do it. But no one should be forcing you what you do with your family in your life. No one should be telling you how to raise your kids or what to do with your kids. So, shout out to DeSantis. Get rid of property tax in Florida. Maybe he'll turn over, a new leaf, and everybody in the world, in the country will be like, oh yeah, we're going to get rid of property tax. But I feel like that money has to be made up somewhere. That's the only problem. Florida already doesn't, tax your paycheck, right? There's no state tax in Florida on your paycheck. Your paychecks only get federally taxed. And if you don't have to pay, property tax on your home anymore, that's so great. So you live in Florida, you only get federally taxed on your paychecks. So you're seeing a lot more money, and then you don't have to pay property tax. So all you're really paying is like tax, at the grocery store, when you buy. don't know what's going on here. All right, I'm gonna call it a night, guys. I just wanted to go on a little rant. Thank you for watching. I don't know why my mic keeps going out, but stay tuned for more. Trying to get this podcast up and going live, get my subscribers up. But have a good one, guys. Stay safe. Don't do anything stupid, and make sure have a good one.